here's what I do. So when I'm looking at a text, I will read through it several times, sometimes read through the entire book, the text, get a general idea of everything. And then let's say it's 7 verses, and I'll go through and I'll look at it. I'll see the relationship between the different verses. I will maybe draw up some sort of an outline, look at the larger points, define words, whether Hebrew or Greek, and just go through it over and over and write down thoughts, and come up with, this is what the text seems to mean. Then what I'll do is something I believe very strongly in, and that is this. I believe that one of the principles of hermeneutics is that we should always do our theology in the context of the church. And what do I mean by that? That we should do our study of the scriptures in company with those great men and women of God down through the ages who have believed that the Bible was the inspired, inerrant Word of God, and they devoted their lives to studying it. And so here's what I'll do. After I've finished most of my work, I'll do this. This section right here, these are commentaries. A lot of them have to do with original languages. So they're commentaries of individual books. I don't have a lot of them. I'm very select. But I'll deal with stuff that is really good with regard to the languages. The New American Commentary. I have a lot of things from the New International Commentary on the Old Testament, New International Commentary on the New Testament. And so just different works, and by individual authors also. For example, D. Edmond Hebert, or other men who are really good in the Greek, or someone like Edie here, an old Scotsman. That's helpful in Greek. I'll look at, Linsky. He's very, very helpful. Here's the old standard conservative set, Keil and Delitzsch. But mainly, what I'm wanting to do is just look at the text as far as the language, syntax. Over here, I'll have different dictionaries and work on Greek and Hebrew grammar and syntax that I will often go to, that I will use, that are very, very helpful. Now, once I've done all that really hard work with words and sentence structures and things like that, that is when, for me, the fun begins. And I have a very, very set way of doing this. I start off, always, I'll start off with John Calvin. And here's Calvin's commentaries. And then I look at Matthew Henry. I love Matthew Henry. And then I will go down here. Here's Matthew Poole. And then here's John Trapp. And then one of my most favorite old Baptist writers, John Gill. I will look at him. And I will look at Barnes. Now, just something that's real important. It doesn't mean that every time you look at a commentary, you're going to agree with someone. But even sometimes when you don't agree, it provokes you to think about why you do not agree. It opens up doors, windows, to more meaning in the text. I also go to this, if you're a preacher, this is one of my favorite guys, Charles Simeon, Expository Outlines on the Whole Bible. Now, let me just give you, for example, I've been working on something for, almost 3 decades or more, and it's just on the gospel, in which I take every verse in the Bible on the person and work of Christ, and I not only do my own work on it, but then I try to start in the patriarchs after the second century, and then work my way all the way through to Martyn Lloyd-Jones. And I guess that's why it's been more than 3 decades. But here's some of my favorite guys. So we have J.C. Ryle, and this is his commentary on the Gospels. And then one of my all-time favorite preachers, of course, Martyn Lloyd-Jones, here on Romans, and here also on Ephesians. Then come over here, and now we're really getting into some good stuff. Here is all of this is Charles Spurgeon. From here on up is Charles Spurgeon, and he's one of my all-time favorite preachers. I always look at what he does, what he writes. Then down here is Richard Sibbes, another famous Puritan. And then there's Manton down here, who is a great writer. And then here's the great theologian John Owen. These are his works in theology. And then his commentary, 7-volume commentary on the book of Hebrews, is astounding. And then, with regard to the person of Christ, John Flavel is some of the most beautiful things I've ever read on the person of Christ. And then one of my favorite guys, they said of him, if you were to cut him, he would bleed the Bible. This is John Bunyan. And then, not quite as well known, but excellent, is the works of Thomas Brooks. And then here is Thomas Boston, and one of my favorites. I mean, he's absolutely amazing. But prepare yourself. If you're wanting to look at something really quick to understand what a certain text means, you probably don't want to go here, because he's liable to write 60 pages on it. Here's the works of William Perkins that have just recently come out from Reformation Heritage, and amazing. Now let's go on down. Here's John Newton from Amazing Grace. That's what he's best known for, but a great writer. The works of Stephen Charnock. And then, of course, Jonathan Edwards. And then here is, you need to read this. This is the letters of Samuel Rutherford. What I would do is, since they are letters, I would put them on I'd put this book on my nightstand, and that's how I read through it. Every night before I go to bed, I would read Samuel Rutherford. There's the sermons of George Whitefield. Let's see, others, Robert Murray McCheyne, anything you can get from him. Here are the works, basically, of J.C. Ryle. And then John Murray, a great theologian. Not well known, but worthy, is the life and sermons of Edward D. Griffin, and then David Clarkson. Now here's somebody I rely on a lot. It's the complete works of Andrew Fuller. Absolutely astounding. Then Payson down there, and Warfield. And if you say, well, do you just have all these books? No, I use these books. This is why, as far as I guess a lot of people would go, my library isn't that large. It's because most of it is just the classical, Reformed, and Puritan guys that I love to read. And here's the thing. To study the Bible, there is a sense in which it is academic. But it's only academic to some degree. It's far more than academic. It's spiritual. And I want to read men who delighted in the person of Christ and who looked at a text looking for Christ. Well, most of them are the commentaries. You look for the text you're studying,
right?
And then over here, I have used all these for research, and I mean a lot of research. It's possible that on my gospel thing that I've been doing for 3 decades, it's not impossible to see me study 4 to 10 hours in one day, just on trying to comprehend the glory of Christ in the gospel and using these books. Like I said, I'll look at the text myself, but then I'll research it through several centuries. And so here are the Confessions. Very helpful is Westminster, the 1689. This is an exposition by Sam Waldron that's very, very good. Young people, let me share something with you. I guess we have time, right?
Sure.
Okay.
There's 287 people here.
Okay, let me share something with you. The Confessions, some of the great confessions, I have the Westminster here, I have the 1689, I have the Three Forms of Unity, which are excellent. I can remember reading through these confessions years after becoming a Christian and becoming almost angry. You say, why angry? What did they do wrong? They did nothing wrong. But the point is, they said in a concise, thorough manner, they answered so many questions immediately that I had to kind of grapple with for years and years. And there's a thing of the wisdom of God being handed down. We must discover the Bible each generation. We must study it. We must pore over it. But the Confessions provide us with a wonderful framework and answer many of the questions that we grapple with as new believers. And so I heartily recommend them. Here is Calvin and Turretin. I really like Turretin. There's Biblical Theology by John Owen.
Yeah, they were asking about John Owen, I think.
Yeah, John Owen is amazing. Then there's The Marrow of Theology by Ames. This Works of Hugh Benning was really life-changing for me, especially with regard to the glory of God and the doctrine of God. And then Charnock, of course, the existence and attributes of God. And then John Gill, who I love, John Brown of Haddington. Then The Christian's Reasonable Service is grossly, well, in a lot of circles, it's grossly overlooked. It is a wealth of truth.